Hey, what's up, everybody? Mr. It Wiz here again with some news about Pantheon. We're gonna join in the Discord channel where Pantheon is gonna answer some questions about what I'm showing on the screen after this break. Some of you might be seeing an ad break. I'll wait for that to be done. There's a few to go. We got some time. 4 minutes, and then I'll get our Discord channel up so we can listen in to Pantheon's Q&A about seasons here momentarily, and I'll take copious notes and give my thoughts after it's over for what they're worth. It's exciting news for Pantheon and people interested in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Me. Oh, let's see. Let's see if my camera zoomed in too much. Is my head too big? Does this camera make my head look big? Properties. Zoom in. It is zoomed in. Didn't save my settings as usual. All right, that should be better. My head's not as big. All right. One more. I had to go move some stuff around so I can see what's going on. All right, I'm going to turn the Discord on. They're getting ready to start here in just a few minutes, so we'll talk about that. Kind of listen into them. I probably won't interrupt too much. I'll probably make my comments after. But essentially, we're talking about this Pantheon 1 is welcoming all pledges in Terminus with seasons. So pretty cool. All pledgers of any sort get some time to play, I think every 6 weeks. So I'll go over that. We'll hear some questions and answers from the Pantheon people, Visionary Realms here momentarily. So I will turn them on, and they'll probably be just chatting a little bit for a couple minutes amongst themselves. So let's listen in. See what's going on with Pantheon Rise of Fallen. By the way, the reason I haven't been streaming really is I've been testing. I've been doing my pre-alpha testing of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen and essentially playing it like a mad person because it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying it, and they'll be coming out with some new content very quickly for us to test that, so that'll be exciting. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm hearing them. I think we're in there. Make sure we're in there. See if anybody's talking. I don't see anybody talking yet, so that's good. Just want to make sure we're going to hear them. I have way too many things open. Too much stuff. Keep track of. There are.
Calico, is that the actual
Oh,
throne?
there we go. We can hear them, so that's good. Trying to see how many people are in here. There's a place to see.
Very cool.
Questions that they will answer were submitted. They asked us to submit questions. So they don't take live questions. They take questions that we've submitted, pre-alpha testers have submitted.
Seems like it would be a little pokey, though. I'm not sure I'd be down for that.
Cover those. They'll cover their own stuff, and then they'll cover some questions. And usually they've got some other tidbits to share. So we'll see what happens. Where can I see how many people are in here? Oh, 142 in the audience. On their Discord channel.
Oh, it's plastic? That's a bummer.
So they tweeted out, let's see what that announcement was. Let me look at my phone so I don't leave that channel. And we knew this was coming. They had mentioned it before, but they did tweet out earlier today
Okay, let's get started.
about hosting a public Q&A on their
Welcome
Discord
everybody
tonight
to the
at 5 p.m.
season's Q&A where we
5
answer
p.m.
your
Pacific.
questions and concerns
Anyway, I'll let
regarding the upcoming Pantheon seasons. We have our creative director, Chris Joppa Perkins, and the director of communications, Ben Dean, here to answer your questions.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, all.
So let's start with Joppa. Can you talk to us about what we will be seeing in game the 17th? What we can expect?
Yeah, I can. So on the 17th is day one. So this is chapter 1, season 1, Into the Pass. And as we've said, a good portion of the overland part of AVP, Avenger's Pass, is going to be playable. We've dubbed it the Orange Zone because our internal map tool that we use when we do like meta design, where we're charting out the location of POIs, we're looking at the topographical data of the zone. We're able to through symbols and volumes and markers and whatnot outline areas. All of the area that we're focusing for this first release is in orange, the orange areas. So if you've seen that map, if you haven't, I don't know how available we've made that, but that's what we're referring to. And so in addition to a significant increase in the playable area and therefore the world size going from Throne Fast only now to having a sizable portion of AVP available as well, we're going to be seeing the overall level range of NPCs, available NPCs increase in the sense that you can now move into AVP to find NPCs that are going to be higher level than what's going to be available in Throne Fast. There's a few exceptions to that. So I know like one of the questions is about the level ranges in Throne Fast, how those will change. And those are going to be decreasing overall. For example, for those of you that are aware, the Rockbone Chief and the Rockbone Terraformer are now level 13 and level 12 respectively. So the Chief has come down from 16 to 13, the Terraformer down from 15 to 12. So you can expect kind of approximately, generally 2 to 3 level decrease across the board, just to overall lower the level range that you can find in Throne Fast. And to be very clear, that's not without exception, because number one, as we've said many times, we're leaning very much into having shared levels of content between lower and higher level players. And so there are going to be still many sections in Throne Fast, pockets, specific NPCs and content areas that are much higher level. And the idea there is that it would be one out of many places in the world where once you're in your 20s, you may come back to Throne Fast for specific reasons to engage with that content. So I'm talking about kind of the main fair, the main content fair in Throne Fast being a kind of a newbie zone and a lower level zone at large. The level ranges there are going to be coming down 2 to 3 levels, which means you'll see NPCs, overland NPCs up to potentially level 14, 15, 16 in Avenger's Pass, whereas you're going to see those topping out a good bit lower than that for the common NPCs in Throne Fast. You're also going to see new rare spawn NPCs in Avenger's Pass, so new NPCs to discover, and with them new itemization, groundwork for a few different event-based NPCs and event-based POIs, which I'm really excited to talk more about soon. We've got the debut of the pet system coming in, so we're going to be starting temporarily testing with the shaman wolf companion that they will get at level 10. As far as the summoner goes, we want to wait. Ideally, we want to wait until at least one of their pets is ready before you bring them online. But if testing with the shaman pet goes well, as far as the system, the mechanics and everything, then we might bring them sooner with a placeholder pet. Also going to see updated art in
season
several
one?
places as well.
Sorry, the summoner might come in during season 1.
I'm not saying that it would be during season 1. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but I'm not committing to that yet. I'm just saying if stuff with pets goes well, as far as the performance of the system and the mechanics and everything, then it would be a good reason to expedite bringing the summoner in and just using some kind of a placeholder for their pet instead of waiting for the model to be finished.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So that's probably a good rundown. The last thing I said, if it got cut off, was that there's going to be some updated art in several places. You're going to notice it in Demeth. You're going to notice it with the what's known as the Dragonhead Shrine, which I'm actually really excited about because there's some pretty cool, unique things we're doing with the biome in that area, which we haven't really done before, to my knowledge, and it's something we've wanted to do, which is really lean into like really different biomes that show up in the midst of a greater biome where you wouldn't really expect it. The idea there is to give, and I'm not just talking about like an area like Hangor in a frigid climate. Obviously, you're going to see snow from a distance and things like that. I'm talking more like not climate related, but there's just something about the POI or the specific area that has caused a change in the biome itself in a smaller form way. So I don't want to say too much about it because it's going to be a cool moment. But that plus a few other art updates as well.
That's so exciting. That's going to be so much fun to go in and see for the first time. So, does the team have an agenda for each season outside of the land masses, the zones? Will races, classes, and other additions be slated for specific seasons, or will they just be plopped in whenever?
Yeah. So the only thing that we want to commit to for each season is world development, world expansion. That's what we are committing to, and that's what our 6-week time frames for new content in a new season or a new chapter coming out are going to be dedicated to. Now, that being said, our goal and our plan is to have several sub features that come along with that for each season, sometimes more, sometimes less. So new race, new class, new game systems, obviously lots of just general updates on things like class designs and abilities and things like that, furthering, advancing some of the systems that are already in game, getting tweaked and improved, things like that. Those also would be a part of those sub features. So you think of seasons as a guarantee of that headline kind of, this is about bringing a new part of the world online in a playable state. I'll talk about what that means in a second. But with each season comes a series of different sub features that may or may not be included in that season based on what we, with our team size and our resources and everything, what we're able to accomplish. But that way we're ensuring that there is new content coming out regularly, and then we are pushing as much of that those sub feature elements in as we can. That's probably the best clarification I can give at this point. The other thing I want to call out is our approach to this is kind of in a team 1, team 2. I don't want to say team alpha, team beta, because just we'll say team 1, team 2 because of the connotations that come with alpha and beta. But so team 1 developmentally is responsible for getting a new zone or a new part of a zone into a playable state foundationally. This is fundamental art. So things like biome assets, the grass, the trees, the rocks, etc. And it's also responsible for foundational structures that are needed. So team 1 will be, art-wise, it'll be making sure that there's grass to put in the biome, that there's terrain textures, that there's rocks that look appropriate to the area, that there's trees that are appropriate for the area, making sure that the structures that the POIs need are done and in place. Team 1 also is going to be making sure that the initial pass of NPC population is in place, and that includes things like the NPC abilities and their targeting logic. It includes loot tables, it includes faction, things like that. Also, first pass of gathering nodes would be included in that Team 1 pass as well. So there's a lot happening in that Team 1 pass, and those things constitute what we think of as a playable area, an area becoming playable. Then Team 2, I like Team Aardvark and Team Badger. That's a good one, Mike. I like that. The second team comes in, and their focus is on detail and finishing. So the second team's job is to take these areas that have been built out foundationally, fundamentally, that are playable, but make them feel lived in, make them feel, give them the special touches. That's where you're going to see a lot of the quests coming into play. You're going to see a lot of like finer tuning on game systems and things like that. So that is our approach that we're taking to these seasons, and that's why we can really lean into confidently that cadence of every 6 weeks having that new zone or that new part of a zone ready and playable. And then as soon as that first team gets it to that point, they're off to the next one, making sure they're staying as far ahead as possible of the second team so that we're able to keep this 6-week cadence intact.
So then are content patches going to be happening throughout the season, or are they going to be held back for the next season?
Our current plan is to have pretty consistently at least one content patch during a season. It's not to say that there won't be times where there may need to be more for one reason or another, but what we feel comfortable kind of putting out there is probably somewhere around the 3 or 4 week mark into a season. We would slate that as potential for an updated or a content patch to come through, or just a patch in general to come through. And part of that is because because our VIPs are able to play all the time. We want to make, when our alpha pledgers and our beta pledgers are able to come in and play, we want to make, that experience as good as possible. And so being able to take all the information we're able to gather during those first 3 to 4 weeks and get a patch in place, that's only going to make, that experience even better. And as that keeps rolling forward each season, I think that'll end up being a good kind of fundamental cadence for us for a mid-season patch cycle.
Okay. So it was asked if at the end of the first season, are we going to be removing access to AVP, or will we continue to have access to it and just also something new?
This will be additive content. So you're not going to lose access to anything. Anything that opens up during a season, any new content area, that is going to become a permanent part of the world.
Okay, so with each season, the world is just getting bigger.
That's correct.
So with AVP planned for 3 parts, 3 seasons for the first chapter, does that mean we won't be moving beyond AVP until the summer?
I mean, right now we have AVP has 3 seasons planned. So what is the actual end of the 6th week of the 3rd season? What's the date of that?
What is that?
Yeah, that's in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be summer. So, but the key point to make there is not every zone is created equal. So in terms of how many parts we plan to release in a dedicated season, it depends on the zone. It depends on what we're working on. So as an example, as we've mapped out Halnir Cave, that zone in its entirety will launch in its entirety. So whatever chapter or season that lands on, Halnir Cave as a whole will release. Another example is Black Rose Keep. Again, as we've gone over that, it's likely that it will be released in 2 parts instead of 3, because you have the keep itself, and the upper levels of the zone to access the keep, and then you have the lower levels of the chasm down below. So when you have a massive zone like Avenir's Pass, it's possible that you could be looking at a 3-part or maybe even more before that zone is finished. But I just want to make a important point here. What I really want players to focus on more than that is that new content in significant portions is going to be releasing every 6 weeks. I don't want the focus. I don't think it's as good to have a focus on how long is an entire zone going to take to become playable. Focus more on the fact that every 6 weeks, a significant amount of content is going to be rolling out, and overall the world is going to be becoming bigger and bigger.
What roadblocks do you foresee could potentially throw off the schedule?
I mean, when it comes to zone development, not many. You could fill in the blank with
Kind of a silly question. So I'm going to try to address Great Dark. I mean, not in detail, but the fact that they're going to let other people who paid less be able to play with people that paid more. The only difference there is that the pre-alphas still get to play 24/7, and the others get to play 24/7 for a period of time. So I think it's champions get to play 2 weeks 24/7, and then supporters, people who've pledged less, the betas, etc., get a week during that 6-week period for 24 hours. And I got comments I'll make after about that, and there are people that agree with you that are kind of a little upset about it. I'm not really, but I'll hold the rest of my thoughts on that until after.
And throw that off. And then I'll just go back to what I said earlier, which is the goal of the 2-team approach is to make sure that the first team is always well out ahead of the team that is working on finishing, or the game systems that maybe are throwing a fit or becoming more complicated than we realized to implement for various reasons, what have you. That work that the first team is doing and their pace allows us to ensure that there is always that next point of content to come forward.
I take copious notes. My hand hurts. Hopefully I can read them at the end.
So right now we do player wipes every so often as needed. Will we be doing those every season, or still as needed? Try to avoid them. What do you see happening there?
There will be a wipe leading up to season 1. Beyond that, we're making decisions about wipe cadence based on how things go and what we see during chapter 1. Our goal is to not wipe during a chapter, but that's not something we can outright guarantee. We're not even set on wiping in between chapters. It's not something that we're planning to do as of right now in any kind of like set rhythmic pattern. We wipe at times when we feel like we need to because of the integrity of the data or the game experience, or when we make major changes to something like the persistence layer or things like that. But because of the nature of how these seasons work, and that they are largely a contiguous rolling out of content, in many cases that is in itself a natural progression of experience and moving through the world. It doesn't always behoove us from a design sense and a game data sense to reset everyone a lot, because we want players able to immediately move into those new areas. So expect a wipe at the top of the first season, chapter 1, season 1. But beyond that, can't really give a clear.
So just mute them for just a minute. For those of you who are watching, if you have comments, I mean, I love that we can discuss. I mean, I throw out my thoughts and certainly in chat, if you got comments about the discussion or whatever, put them in there. They're just finishing up there, so I'll turn them back on. But appreciate you watching with me. Throw in your questions, comments, or whatever. We can discuss at length when they get done. At least I can give you my thoughts, and you can certainly put yours in chat.
Will we still have alpha and beta phases? Is that when you can answer for us, Ben?
Well, so it's really just a matter of simplifying the way that we look at this externally. Um, so if we do use those terms, they're probably just going to be internal terms. But for simplification purposes, we're just referring to this as pre-release. So in seasons, it's just kind of look at it as pre-release. We have, like you said, we have gotten rid of alpha and beta for these purposes in this model.
So do we plan on using the seasons format up until release?
For the immediate future, that's the plans. I can't tell you if that's going to go all the way to release. But for the immediate
But for now.
future, that's certainly the plans.
Okay.
That's what we
Uh,
want. I mean, it's an approach that we're all excited about too. We would like for it to work this way. This is a really energizing way to develop the game, energizing way for you guys to experience the game. So as long as everything works well, then yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we plan to deviate from it at this point, for sure.
No, it's a great approach. It kind of ticks all the boxes that we were kind of wanting to do with previous iterations of the game. Someone asked if there would be multiple servers up continuously or just one. Do you guys want to answer that, or I got a statement from Rizel.
Yeah, just go ahead and share what Sam posted.
So we're just going to have the one server during the VIP portion of the season. Multiple servers will be added when the champions and supporters come in, but just the one for VIPs. Someone asked if we could look forward to at least one PvP server in a future season.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that is something you can bank on. Obviously no time frame for that. So don't get your heart set on it too soon. But for those of you that
Oh,
love
too
that kind of
late.
thing, it's definitely going to be a thing.
That's so exciting. So exciting. Would VR be willing to let players log into their character into any server during testing using that tech that was talked about and almost used in December? Rizel answered that and said, we have no plans presently to enable server hopping for characters. So let's just get everybody in game, get everything going, and then we'll think about doing stuff like that later on. That was most of the pre-gathered questions. Somebody in here
That's
asked
it?
about testing expectations. Ben, do you have any thoughts, or Joppa? This is probably more your thing. Do you have any thoughts as to what we can ask of our new champions and supporters coming in, what we want from them for testing?
Um, the only prerogative that I have right now is play the game, take note of the things that do not work as you would expect them to. Those are the simplest things to report. It could be an ability, it could be a mob's behavior, it could be a place where you might fall through the world in this location you don't expect to. Whatever it may be, if an entity or a system or a mechanic is not working as it says it should or you expect it to, report that. Uh, Also, there's a lot that we gain from,
Hey,
and
hey,
in some
Google,
ways
Google
we've been
Gaming,
helped
what's
the
up?
most by
Welcome.
our long-standing VIP testers is when they talk about their experiences in terms of what they are finding enjoyable, what they are finding not enjoyable, and we are very comfortable with criticism. I mean, constructive criticism is absolutely vital for us to be aware of our blind spots, to make sure that the game on all fronts from lots of different perspectives is landing where it should. Come in with an expectation as you do report things and give feedback, with to not expect things to change because you asked for them to, but come in knowing that we are very faithful in reading all the feedback that comes in. We take it very seriously, and it is absolutely vital that we hear from you on those levels. When it comes to more specific focus testing, you can expect there to be points along the way where we will, through various means, communicate things that we want players to test, and we'll have those details written out clearly and communicated clearly through some different mediums. But hopefully that gives a good sense of, on the whole, what our expectations, what our hopes are for all of the new people coming in.
Yeah. Also, if you guys haven't noticed, for the champions and supporters, I've opened all the testing channels to you guys. There are feedback channels in there for classes, crafting, and general feedback, and there is a bugs channel where you can report bugs. And we have on the official forums a couple of forums for feedback as well. So we read all those places, so you can leave any of your info there and we will look at it. Desrin asked if you could clarify the difference between chapters and seasons and how they differ from each other.
Yeah, chapters is really just meant to be kind of a thematic bucket. So chapter 1 is focused on basically Avenger's past largely. Chapter 2 is going to be focused on, something different. And the idea, like we're trying to do with the name of the seasons, is have an approach to chapters that, tries to kind of tie things together thematically, but also orient people around what to expect, the work to be focused on during that period of time.
Seasons?
Kind of a fun way to theme
He
it all.
didn't answer.
Will champions or supporter pledges get more than 2 weeks in the future? Do we know that, Ben?
Yeah, it's released. Just kidding.
So
It's a
we
joke.
don't know that right now, but well, we don't know it in terms of when. But yes, obviously, at some point, both champions and supporters will get more access. But I don't have a definitive season as to when that will be. But expect it to be, down the road.
And for the VIP server, which we use as Avenger, do we know whether or not that is going to be restricted to VIPs?
So I know CP might have further insight on this too, but I know that there's discussion about that. I don't think we've landed on a conclusion. There's just a lot of consideration as to the pros and cons of both sides, or both ways of approaching it.
Yeah, no decision yet.
Yeah, when we get a decision, I'll let you guys know. Did you see any other questions, Ben, that you think we can answer? Oh, do we have an ETA on the ogre?
Soon. And I can also say that when we do, get to the point where we're ready to start talking about the ogre more directly, we've done some really, really cool updates with our armor fitting and just our armor system in general, and even some changes to the look of the armor a little bit. Again, based a good deal on a lot of the feedback that we've gotten from VIPs. And you might even see a few little improvements. I don't want to steal Bronson's thunder too much, but a few little improvements on the human as well, the human male and female, just to kind of fill them out a little bit more, maybe. I think just really good steps in, again, a very consistent point of feedback from players about the look of the characters. And so big improvements there. Really, really cool improvements with the armor handling system and the way the armor's looking and fitting, and getting those working for ogres, which is a huge step. Just want to reiterate that, we're doing ogres, then we're doing gnomes. Gives us the biggest race, and ogres are massive. Gnomes, they're very small. And once we have those two ends of the spectrum dialed in, it's so much easier and quicker for us to get all the in between races as far as armor fitting goes. And that's coming along really well. Huge shout out to Philip for the work he's been doing on that. I know Bronson's been super impressed as well what he's seen. So hope to be able to show more of that soon.
Oh yeah, I want to show that off. It's going to be good. So
there's
then,
I'm sorry, did you have another question?
Nope, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. I did want to make a quick where's my okay, there we go. Yeah, I wanted to so we've got this weekend coming up, and there is a chance that we may have to postpone the test this Saturday. Not canceling it, just postponing it. But again, based on feedback from all of you, we want to do a better job of getting out in front of messaging, not waiting until the last minute. Postponing is hard. It's not fun to say these kinds of things, but the reality is we have sent out thousands and thousands of emails to new players coming in, and this is right now something predominantly affecting our beta pledgers in terms of some of the issues we're running in with authenticating them and bringing them all the way through the process where they can have access. And so we are working on it currently. I can say that Rizel specifically is putting in some hours that are kind of crazy to see, trying to crunch this out and make this work. There's a lot of back and forth needing to happen, even with Microsoft and some various things to get to the bottom of some of this and get it unjammed and working. So I'm just putting it out there. It's not a guarantee at this moment that we're going to be postponing, but I would rather that be at least in the back of your mind as a possibility, and we'll give more info when we have it. But just want to make that clear, and again, make super clear: this is not
just
canceling
sounds
this,
like a Debbie Downer.
Postponing it. If we do end up having to push it, we'll likely extend the time.
Or Sab,
just as a goodwill offering. But know that we are working as hard as we can on getting it resolved, and we will keep you posted.
Yeah, I agree. It always sounds super charged.
But
it sounds like
it's good that
he's half asleep, but it's all right.
But yeah, we don't know for sure yet, guys. I will, the very second I know, I will get it posted.
Wrap it up, people.
And yes, Cathor, Rizel did say that if it does get postponed, we would make it a little bit longer than 24 hours. Ben, someone asked real quick if we were going to be relaxing the NDA with all the new people coming in. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
So yeah, we were the first few weeks where the VIPs are playing exclusively. We're going to keep the visual NDA in place just for a little while, but we do absolutely have plans to drop the visual NDA before the champions and supporters get in, or at the same time, one or the other. But by the time the champions and supporters are playing, the visual NDA will be released.
Nice.
That's good. I'm not sure I wanted to keep track of all of that. Herding kittens.
So it's sort of exciting too, in a way, a little bit related, not precisely, but we were talking with the content creators last week or this week. No, it was last week. As to what's coming up and all that sort of thing. So I know that there are a few people that are planning on. They've gotten permission to stream over the next few weeks until
not me
launches. So keep an eye out. They'll be making their announcements pretty sure.
They
pretty
have
soon,
already.
sure.
Nathan
So
Napalm already
they'll be
already
streaming.
was jazzed
There's
about
at
it.
least 3 days per week where somebody.
I never ask though,
for
so
a couple of hours.
I never ask him for that, and I don't got enough followers, so I'm not that important. They don't care about me. It's all
we still
good.
have-
I just
we
want to
still
play
have
the
sign
game
up for
and
the
be able to
content
stream
page
it.
on the website,
That's
right?
all.
I'd have to double check. I'm pretty sure it's still there. But if not, you can either ping myself or Savanya, and just let us know what your channel is, and we'll have a chat with you.
Yeah, we'll add you to the list.
Ooh, I think I missed that. I should do that. Say, hey, get me on that list. I want to be able to stream it
It's
whenever.
been a big news week, hasn't it, guys?
Massive,
Oh, yeah.
huge. Lots to
Exciting
talk
times.
about. I got 4 pages. Are we done here? They can't hear me. I wish they could. It's good that they can't.
All right. Do we have anything else
Maybe
we
they
want to
can.
share? Any other
No,
last
they
minute
can't.
questions, guys?
I didn't laugh.
Or make silly jokes.
That's unfortunate.
So they're
Oh.
turning. They are
Actually,
turning.
I would take that back.
This
I
is
did
their
laugh.
Discord channel.
I would never tell him this, but Bronson made me laugh a few times this week talking about some of the things that he would love to see in Pantheon. I'll leave that up to him if he wants to share with us.
Bronson's a delightful little weirdo, isn't he? I was looking
I
at
mean-
his tentacle art.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't read into that too much, but I would never call him a delightful little weirdo.
No, that would be inappropriate.
Oh
and
yeah,
unprofessional.
and they usually
Sorry,
release the
Bronson.
recording of this
It's
like within the
funny.
next day,
So,
usually on their YouTube channel, so you can listen to it there.
Next week, there's also an interview with Bronson that's coming up with one of our content creators. I don't want to spoil the announcement, so I'll leave it to him once everything gets signed off on.
Sweet.
But I think that'd be hilarious. that's the announcement.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you just announce it and say you don't want to announce it?
Well, I mean,
He already posted a teaser, so it's okay.
no, yeah, we'll link it up on our socials and everything once it's up. But I didn't want to spoil anything. But
That's
it's
fun.
a
I look
good
forward
interview.
to that.
Delightful little weirdo, is that it?
Well, Gil, you probably know.
Weirdo,
I mean, I think they're done here, so I'm gonna get out of there. But I'll deafen them at least for now. That now they're gonna get into their joke telling and all that stuff. But anyway, you've probably seen the releases about everybody's gonna get to play. If you haven't seen them, I got the webpage up. Essentially, and then Great Dark, if you want to discuss this a little bit more about like the champions and which is really the alpha testers are now in this champion bucket. I think it's been a little confusing, and all the beta testers and other supporters are in this supporters bucket. So every 6 weeks, the first 3 weeks of each season, the VIPs or the pre-alpha testers will get to test that content first. And then the champions will get 2 weeks to play. And then other supporters after that, at whatever level, can then play for a week. This is going to happen. So I think that a lot of people are not a lot. There have been a few comments about now. I mean, that's kind of, this is not me. I'm paraphrasing somebody else saying essentially that they weren't super excited that they paid more. And these people who didn't pay as much are going to get to play. They're still not getting to play as much. They're only getting 2 or 1 week per every 6 weeks. And they're not, so and for that time they get 24/7, but the pre-alpha testers are still getting to play it and test it 24/7 every day, anytime they want. So, and that's going to happen sooner or later anyway. I'm open arms to as many people in the game as you can get in the game. They need that kind of feedback. They need that kind of stress testing, I think. And when they had the 24-hour sessions for others, there was a lot of good info. Some of it was regurgitative. We'd already pointed out some of the issues, but some of it was really new stuff and good to hear and have some other eyes on it, starting kind of fresh look. I thought that was all good. I don't have any issues with it at all. I think it's good. I think it's positive. I think it's moving them in the direction of hopefully one day releasing this freaking game. So, I'm all down with it. So I don't have any problem with it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that probably, right? I think I'm pretty sure, but I've been watching kind of anecdotally there's a channel in their Discord that shows kind of new people to the Discord channel. And that kind of gives you an idea of the number of new blood that's coming in since they allowed the 24-hour testing for alphas. And I know personally of 3 or 4 people who upgraded their alpha pledge to pre-alpha after they got a chance to play. So certainly there's new money coming in, who knows what amount and if it's significant enough to make a difference. But I think what they had seen, and the reason for this change, in my opinion, is that they had seen kind of the resurgence of excitement about the game because people were getting in and they were seeing some new upgrades and pledges. That's not cheap, right? So I think they were getting some of that, and now here's an opportunity for some more of that to happen. It's a business, and the game needs to get released. It's not going to get released without more funding. So I'm a huge fan of a game. This is a turnaround from me after the 247 they announced, right? I was like, I'm out. That's it. I've had it. And when I think they heard a lot of that and kind of changed that. And I upgraded my alpha to pre-alpha when they said we'd be able to play 24/7. So, and I think a lot of people, some people are doing that. So, it certainly is to generate money, but they need money to get the game out. They need money to keep it going, so, I mean, I'm not knocking them for that. And I think it's good too. And I think they've been listening, and I think they got a huge amount of mostly positive, not all. I'm not always 100% positive about it either, but I think they've gotten enough to see that this could be very beneficial for the game's future. And I think it is. So at any rate. There's in there, Gulo, there's a lot of juice there, man. Read if you go to their website about the seasons, you've probably seen this, right? PantheonMMO.com/seasons, where they talk about the dates and times and who's going to get to play and when and all that stuff. I think it's all good. I think they're moving in the right direction. If they're going to start putting content out at some pace, at least now we have a timeline that every 6 weeks, something new content-wise is coming out. I go over some of the notes. Essentially, somebody asked, I don't know if I have these in the right order, but at any rate, I don't think there was other than, the biggest part of it in my mind is that cadence of we're going to put new content out every 6 weeks and everybody's going to get to see it at some point during that 6-week period. I think it's awesome. And what Joppa has said is you'll see it in some form. It's not going to be the final. And this is another thing for people that are in pre-alpha and the alphas that have come in. I've seen the OC chats, and I always want to just put in all caps. It's pre-alpha. Don't get too hung up on stuff. If you've got feedback or bugs to report, do that. Don't get hung up on what you're seeing now and think that that's the final. It's not the final, and people just need to realize that when they even now for the betas that get to come in for some point, they just need to be clear that this is still, and what they're calling now, which I thought was interesting, right? We're gonna stop with the pre-alpha and beta and all this. This is pre-release content. So that's a change too. And I don't know if we should read too much into that, but I think it's essentially so that they can get supporters and the beta's into the game and the alpha's into the game on a regular basis. So they can't say we're going to open it up to alpha on this date because they're already doing it, right? Just in the cadence that they're doing it. I think it's fine. I don't have any heartburn over it. I've always been wanting more people in the game, so because I think it does nothing but good. Once I got in there and started playing it, I'm like, man, they should find a way somehow. And I never made these comments to anybody, but in my head, I might have said it on some streams, but in my head, I was like, man, the more people who see this, because we saw that with the alphas when they came in, the excitement about, and I've seen just multiple statements in the game, in chat. Somebody literally said, wow, this is like a real game. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is like a real game. You just limited content wise. But anyway, so I'm excited about Avengers Pass coming in. See if I can catch up with chat if there were any things I should comment to. Great Dark, I'm curious if you're still there. Are you any pledger in the game at all, or just kind of watching from the sidelines? I'm just kind of curious about that. Doesn't mean you don't have to answer if you don't want to. So, Turin, you're a beta level backer, but you don't really care. Hope they do what they need to do. I won't even play the beta. I'm already convinced and don't want to spoil the Christmas and launch day. Oh, I should probably going to change significantly. I think that's, if you get an opportunity to get in there, I mean, I don't know how you could resist, but hey, that's your deal. Yeah, more group content for sure. We're running out of some of that. It's kind of hard to find when they have a lot of people, and it'll be hard if they don't have AVP. And I think they realize that if they don't have a lot more content to get more places to group, because really at a certain level, if you're not grouping, even grouping is kind of a grind XP wise. And if you're going to try to solo any content, I mean, you can, but if you want to take 3 days to get a level or whatever, if that's going hardcore, anyway, yeah, it'll be cool. I'm excited about this change in Avengers Pass coming in. To see some new stuff, it'll be exciting. So, yeah, champion. So you'll get a couple weeks every 6 weeks. So versus Turin, Great Dark, are you gonna get in there? Or are you gonna wait till Christmas? The Christmas when the game's actually released. I think so much is going to change. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to be a big deal if you see the content now, but that's your call. But haven't been streaming any other, because literally nothing is exciting me. I've been testing and playing, pretty much every day. And, when they wipe, I'm like, I'm cool with it. Start fresh and see things again a different way. Hopefully now a new zone to do all that in. And discover more stuff is going to be kind of exciting. So I'm excited to see. I like playing the shaman, so I'm excited about the pet. We'll see what good it is. I've heard different things about how they had it before and whether it's actually really of any use or whatever. We'll see, but I'm excited to at least check it out. Anyway, get in the game. If you've pledged it all, get in there and check it out. And I would say, what I'm really exciting for me is when they they dropped the visual NDA for that week, I was streaming morning and afternoon quite a bit. I think I had over 100 hours of streaming content. And a lot of people who came in, who asked questions, who watched it, I think the more that people get to see it, and even when you see it, and I've watched others, there's plenty of streamers, right, who are streaming the content when they can. And even when you see it that way, it's different than when you're in the game. It's kind of weird to me. But normally when I'm looking at a new game, I'll find somebody who's streaming it so I can see if I like the game or not. And with this one, it's kind of weird because you don't get the whole effect. You kind of see the visuals. When I look at the streams later, I'm like, hey, it feels different watching it than it is when you're in the game. And I'm not promoting anybody to shell out any dough. All I'm saying is that I was really dejected about Pantheon with the 247 announcement. And then I was like, well, and they said, we're going to let alphas come in for a day and check it out. And I just knew that I would probably then go, well, I'm going to want to be in there a lot more. And as soon as they announced that we could be in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's when I upped my pledge to get in there. And I was just like, well, we'll just see how it goes. I mean, I'll make the wife work a second job. Anyway, now it's all good. And I've loved every minute of it. I mean, it's not without problems. It's not a final product. It is fun to play. I have a good time when I'm in there, and I'm literally not streaming anything else because nothing is exciting me. There's a couple games I would still play, but if I look at MMOs that I've played a ton, name them, none of the kind of newer stuff probably that hasn't really excited me. Anyway, this is cool news. Maybe I'll do another stream just with the notes. There wasn't anything really that's coming out in my mind of something that I would say, but I don't like that or whatever. I think it was all kind of good. The summoners, I think people are a little upset about the people that are pre-alphas are not super happy that the shaman gets their pet because the summoner's not coming in without their pets. But what Joppa said is we want all those the details about the pets to be finalized and not come in there with some, although he did say maybe some placeholder or something. We'll see. I was excited if they came out with a summoner or anything different to play. I would have been excited about that. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I'm super excited. Check out, if you want the nitty gritty, go to pantheonmmo.com/seasons. And then, the thing I am excited about is if they're going to let us start streaming, I'm going to stream it. I'll stream it to be the only game I'll stream. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Nice of you to do it. I'm always happy when people follow me. So thank you very much. So it sounds like after the first season starts, which is the 17th, and then the PAs will get 3 weeks to check out that content. And then after that, it sounds like they might drop the visual NDA, and I'll be streaming the crap out of Pantheon. So come back and see that happen. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. Any parting thoughts or questions or whatever? I'm going to get out of here and just go back to testing the game. Even though we're going to get wiped, I think, before the 17th. But it was a lot of fun. That's all I can say. That's one person's opinion. But if you look at the streamers across the board who are fans of the game, I think they essentially are saying the same thing. There are a lot of people saying, you can go check out those sites too. I did. The people who are all, not super thrilled with it, but we can talk about all that old stuff, but I'm not going to do it today. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Have a great evening. I'm going to go test out Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.